Hello, my name is Michael Sosa Calixto, and today I will be giving y'all an example of Monroe's motivated speech. So to begin with, I want you to take a look at my car. As you can see, it's a really nice car. And I've done some modifications to it. As you can see, it's a sports car, but I have changed out some things so it can get more horsepower. And then I have also changed out the wheels, so it can get wider tires, so I can get more grip. And then I've also put it on lowering coilovers, which all that does is lower the center of mass of gravity, and it allows it to be more planet when you're turning. And even though this car looks that crazy and it sounds like it might be really good, I did not pay that much money for it. In fact, I only paid $10,750. And even though that's a good bit of money compared to other cars out there, especially cars like these sports cars, it's not that much. And even though it might not have that much horsepower, it only has 220 horsepower, I love it because I can use all of that horsepower. See, the problem with most of these cars today, they are so big and they have so much horsepower, but you can't use them because they weigh so much, or they might just be too much for the speed limit which is around. And so what most people do, or what most companies do, when they're trying to make the perfect sports car, they try to create what is called the driver's car. And so all the driver's car is a perfect balance between horsepower and weight and how the car itself drives and steers. And across the years, Porsche has been given the award of having the driver's car, mainly this Porsche 911. And that car is really nice because it has a perfect amount of horsepower, which is pretty high, and the perfect amount of weight so you can steer it. And when this car came out, it was a collaboration between Toyota and Subaru, and it was also sold by the brand called Scion, which was an underbrand of Toyota. And when the car came out, the Post Tribune created an article saying that the Subaru BRZ, which is the Subaru naming for my car, could really be the poor man's Porsche. So I really felt lucked out. So before we go anywhere else, I want you to put your imagination cap on and go with me. So imagine you're in my car and we're driving, or you're just driving my car and we're just having a great time. I have subwoofer, so my music is booming. We woke up early, we're feeling great, we're not sleepy, we're tired, we're just ready to get to class, and then all of a sudden, you're slamming on brakes because cars in front of you are slamming on their brakes. You gotta make sure you're not hitting nobody. You're thinking about maybe even swerving out. And why? All because of this next infamous thing: traffic. According to an article by CNN, the average American commuter wastes 54 extra hours a year in traffic delays. And I feel like I could attest to that. I've been in so much traffic this year commuting to USC, and it's just insane. I drive every day, so it's an hour there and an hour back, and I experience traffic almost on a daily. So I can attest to being close to 54 hours a year. But the thing that surprised me the most when I was researching about this was the fact that 33% of daily delays occur outside of those traffic hours, so they occur in midday or overnight. So outside of the common traffic hours, which is like 8 a.m. or 5 p.m. when people are either going to work or coming out of work, that's where 33% of delays happen. So that's pretty interesting. And here in Colombia, even though it might be bad, there's places that's even worse. It says the commuters in the top 15 most congested cities spent an average of 83 hours stuck in traffic in 2017. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time we could be doing something else. Especially me, when I be driving, I'm like, man, I'm in traffic. I could be doing homework, or I could be doing something else right now. But unfortunately, with traffic, we know that something else can happen. And these are accidents. According to the Wandering RV, they found out that every year there are approximately 6.75 million car accidents in the US alone. That is insane. That is a huge number of accidents. And the problem is, it's not just like you get in an accident and you're done. The problem is once you get in an accident, you have to figure out who was at fault. If the person that you got in a wreck with or hit you leaves, then you have a hit or run. And if no one ever gets considered guilty for it, then you're left to deal with it all on your own because your insurance might not cover you, and so it costs a lot of money. And then if you do get a result through your insurance could go up as well. But if we break this even down, we can see how much that really is on a daily. So on average, there are approximately 18,510 car crashes per day in the United States. And I can attest to that too, as well. As when I drive here to UC, most of the times the traffic is caused by accidents. And for example, this past week, I was late to school 3 times, and those 3 times were due to an accident. But the fortunate part about accidents is that they usually aren't good, or they're never good really, but they can cause something really serious. And those are deaths. Then last year in South Carolina, we had a total of 1,025 people killed on the road. And when we see statistics like these, we can oftentimes just brush them over, just be like, oh, it's just 1,025, like there's so much more people living, but it doesn't really hit you until you start to think about who one of those people could be. They say that driving is one of the most dangerous things we do on the daily, and every day that means that your mother, your father, your friends, your siblings, your family members, whoever you care for or love for, maybe even if you don't even care for them that much, but somebody can die. And I don't think nobody wants to hear the news about someone they care for or love for dying due to a car accident. But the good thing, there's something that can be done. You can take a defensive driving course. And according to myandproud.com, while the statistics for each state vary, it is generally accepted that the fatality rate for drivers under the age of 21 who take defensive driving drops dramatically, in some cases as much as 50%. And if we put the math together, if you take 50% of the number we just read, it will be somewhere around 512 people. That is a lot of lives that we're saving. And then if you do it by the year, it just keeps adding up more and more and more. And the fortunate number with the death, it is slowly rising up every year. So the more people we can get on taking defensive driving courses, then the more lives we can save. So I want you to visualize this. Imagine not having to worry about when you're driving or where you're going. I think we can all attest to some of our favorite memories being in car rides with friends or family members, and we're taking a trip somewhere, and a lot of times the best part sometimes is the drive there or the drive back, when you're just laughing together, telling each other stories, opening up to each other, just listening to music. Something as simple as that, just listening to music, having a great time with each other, eating snacks. It's such a wonderful thing, and it's something that we can take for granted, but you realize how valuable it is once you lose somebody, and that doesn't have to happen. So a way that you can take action is by taking a defensive driving course yourself. We have a few here in South Carolina. We have, well, close to us here, we have a ABC driver's course, which is $60 for the course, and it's only about 12 minutes away. Then we have Baldwin's driving course, which is about $80 and is about 18 minutes away. And then we can also take one online on idrivesafely.com, and it's actually surprisingly really cheap. I don't know if they changed it or if it's a little bit different, but it's actually only $35. And the good thing is you can do that from anywhere online. You just have to make sure you go to the approved course, and it lists you where you can go once you completed the course. But the great thing is, if you take a defensive driving course yourself, not only can you drop your insurance, you can, if you're also in some trouble, you can drop how many points you have on your license. So that's really good. Another thing is vote for change in the driver license process. I think a lot of times we know of a lot of people that should not have their license. I'm pretty sure you've been in a car with somebody and you're like, how in the world are you driving on our roads? Like, you should not be driving. And so if we were to make the driving license process a little harder and require people to take a course, then we'll have the safety and sense of peace in mind that they are educated and they are trained to drive safely on the road. And if not, also you can make your children, if you have children, or later on in the future, when you have children, make them take a defensive driving course. Unfortunately, a lot of times we can't control the environment around us, but we can change what we can do, and by us directly forcing our kids, or not necessarily forcing, but influencing our kids to take a defensive job in course, we can end up saving their lives in their vigor. Thank you.